What's going on? My name's Paul. This is Screening Party, and today we are doing a spoiler review of Marvel Studios' newest film, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The first thing I wanted to do is just talk about my overall thoughts of the film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great addition to the MCU. I think it's some of the best fight sequences and action sequences we've seen in the MCU up to this point. I really enjoyed Simu Liu as our lead character, Shang-Chi. Thought it was very charismatic. There's some great humor in there. Not the best humor I've seen in the MCU, but definitely some really good humor. As we'll talk about, my favorite joke ever now in any of the MCU films. I just think it's a really good origin story. I think it's better than some of the origin stories we've seen in the MCU prior. It's probably middle to top tier, solo outing films. Something I didn't know was coming was all of this mystical stuff. I thought it was going to be a little more grounded. I know we had Power of the Ten Rings, and I really like what they did with them. They changed them from rings on your hand to bracelets. This was to stay away from the confusion with, what we saw with the Infinity Gauntlet, with Endgame and Infinity War. It was just too similar with the hand jewelry. So I really like what they did with the bracelets in terms of the mystical creatures and the dragon. And I just did not, and the soul suckers, I just did not see that coming, but I did really enjoy it. And it definitely fit in the culture of China. And it was very gorgeous what they could do with those creatures, as well as the cinematography and showing that Chinese culture. My favorite scene by far, though, was in San Francisco with the bus sequence. I just thought it was amazing. I want to go back and see it again just for that sequence. Simu Liu did an amazing job going in and out of different areas of the bus. It's so compact in there, and I think it really made that style of Kung Fu and that Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and what they were trying to, reference really shine through, because it was just such a tight sequence and where you could do a lot of really quick action, a lot of fast action, nimble Simu Liu had to be. So I just really enjoyed that. I want to go see that again just for that sequence. And I'd be curious what your favorite action sequence in the film was. I know there were so many, and I really do think it was probably the best fight choreography, or close to the best fight choreography that we've seen in the MCU this far. The best performances out of the entire movie, I think, go to the father, Simu Liu as our main character, Shang-Chi, and then Katie, played by Awkwafina. I really liked the father. I think he was a great actor. I really liked seeing him every time he was on screen, even though he was our adversary, and he just was frightening to me. He had this not terrorist type of frightening that we saw with, we'll talk about Trevor Slattery, but just this more of you knew he meant business and he didn't have to tell you about it. It was very inner fear that I felt. So I really liked him. Shang-Chi, I think, was amazing in every sequence that he did. The fight sequences, as I said, Simu Liu with his physicality was something to be amazed at and to really watch. It was awesome. And then you had Awkwafina, who was very funny. She is a comedian, of course. I think it was a funny movie, but I don't think it was top tier comedy for Marvel. But one of my favorite jokes by far in the entire thing was the karaoke joke that they had in the beginning of the film. And then what made it the best joke I think I've ever seen or heard in Marvel was bringing in Wong to do karaoke at the end. It was a good way to bring back that joke, good way to elevate that joke, and I just did not see it coming, and it really made me laugh out loud in the theater. It was by far the biggest laughter my entire theater experienced, and something that it was just so funny to see. In terms of comedy, too, I think you can't leave out Ben Kingsley returning as Trevor Slattery. Bringing him back was a really good way to tie Shang-Chi into the rest of the MCU. We know that the Ten Rings have been around since the first Iron Man, and really elevated in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin and Trevor Slattery, all of that. So I thought it was cool that the father told that story while they were at dinner, and he was telling a little bit about it, kind of giving foreshadowing to us seeing Trevor Slattery. I knew that Ben Kingsley was in the film. Unfortunately, that was spoiled for me. But my buddy, right before Trevor Slattery came on the screen, my buddy was like, oh, like, what's that noise? Like, what's that noise? I'm like, that's Ben Kingsley. Like, it's got to be him. And once he came on screen, I really loved him. Every time we saw him, he was just an amazing comedian and what he could bring to that role. As I talk about action sequences, I think there were so many of them. The bus sequence, the one in Vegas while they're outside the building on the glass, and there's just so many. And I think this is really good for repeat viewings. As I said, I want to go back and watch it again just for that bus sequence. So repeat viewings, I think, will be really good on this film, as well as a better and bigger box office. You know, with what's going on right now, Paramount just pulled a lot of their movies for the 2021 season. They pushed them all to 2022. So in terms of Marvel, this will be a big test for them to see what they're going to be doing with Eternals coming out in 2 months and Spider-Man No Way Home coming out in December. So that is my review of Marvel Studios' newest film, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let me know what you guys thought about this film in the comment section down below. Was it one of your favorite Marvel films now, or is it, you know, towards the bottom? I'm really curious. Are you going to go see it again like I am for action sequences? Or are you just being like, hey, I'll watch it, you know, when it comes on Disney Plus in 6 months? But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Paul. This is Screening Party, and I'll see you later. Peace.